Good afternoon. This is BASA News, Zachariah Jackson. I'm kind of going around New Jersey asking questions. What can we do to make a safer community, better schools, and better businesses and everything? I'll let my young lady here introduce herself.
Well, hello, and thank you for having me, Minister Zachariah. And my name is Sheila Montague. I'm a district leader here in the city of Newark in the West Ward, the 49th district, and I'm just here today to see if I can answer some of the questions that exist.
How long have you been district leader?
Well, currently I've been a district leader now for the last 3 terms.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is my 3rd term.
Okay. And what entails the job in the district leader?
Well, actually, the district leaders are supposed to be the go-between to help alleviate a lot of the tensions and problems with the constituents in the district and City Hall downtown. We act as liaisons.
Oh, okay. Well, you know, the other day when we kind of passed each other downtown
Absolutely.
in front of City Hall, I was interviewing a Salam Ishmael.
Right.
And he goes around, of course, and talk about gun violence and
Right.
things of that nature. And sometime ago I had an interview with you about education. How do those two work together, gun violence and education? What you know?
Well, they're very closely intertwined in that if you educate a child when they're young, they're going to be less likely to get involved with gun violence or any violence at all. So the problem here, like in most urban communities, the education is not what it needs to be.
Okay.
And that's a great contributor to the violence that we have here.
And so, what can we do to change it to, because it seems like all the large communities that you find, you know, urban communities, you find gun violence is rampant here. I mean, you look at Chicago, you look at Camden, look at Newark, you look at, you know, Detroit and stuff, you know. Well, what is it? You know, we say education. Do it actually take education not to pull a gun?
Well, you know, so one thing that you learn, right, when you're educated, you learn conflict resolution.
Sure.
And so we know that turning to a gun is a permanent resolvent for a very temporary condition. And so through education, you remedy those things before they happen, just in terms of implementing interventions that are created just for that, you know.
So, and from your perspective, what do you think that we can do to kind of bring this thing down?
Well, it's multi-pronged. It's a multi-pronged strategy. There is no one-size-fits-all, or we probably would have been there by now. So it's going to take a lot of accountability on different parts. It's going to take accountability in action.
Sure.
On the part of city leadership in these cities. It's going to take accountability in action in terms of parents, constituents, young people alike. We need everybody to get involved and do their just due in terms of paying it forward to progressing ourselves as a people within our nation, within a nation.
Well, let me ask you this question, and I guess if I didn't ask you this, most of the people that's going to watch this would wonder why I didn't ask you this. What's your take on the governor, Governor Christie? Is he a help in deterring the destruction of our cities, and has he been a help? Do you think he's been a good aid?
Okay, so again, it's a layered response that I'll share with you. I definitely know that the governor's seat is one in which has the power to assist urban issues that we face. Has he personally done it? Of course he hasn't. And we wouldn't think that a person that would chase down candidate Trump that's running for president,
Sure.
we wouldn't think a governor that would chase down that candidate for a VP position would be someone that would cater to the needs of an urban community. So definitely he's in a position to do it, but has he done it? The fruits of his labor, tells us no.
All right. And so, as district leader, then you get to go down to City Hall. And of course, in Newark, a very large city.
Yes, yes.
And you get to see the many people in office. Is the city council doing it?
It's funny you should ask. I actually got an opportunity to view today a city hall meeting, and I was very disturbed to hear one of the councilmen here in the city share the fact that they weren't brought to the table for appropriation of funds as it would have helped here in the city of Newark, and that they weren't called to the table. And so you kind of see a repetitive cycle of the city council not having a good work relationship with the administrative leadership here in the city locally. And you also see that relationship play out between the governor and the leadership here in the city of Newark, and specifically pertaining to the mayor. So there's some strained relationships there. So when there's strained relationships, you're going to have some problems that need to get resolved.
I'm going to ask you another question, and I guess this question here will kind of graduate us to the next question.
Okay.
If you want to comment, you can. If you don't, it's up to you. Our mayor, are you comfortable with answering questions about our mayor?
Sure.
Our mayor, Mayor Rasparock, is more of a folk hero for us.
Okay.
When I say folk hero, I mean we all wanted him in office for many, many years.
Right.
He used to be at marches, and I would see him. I don't know him personally.
Absolutely.
I don't know him personally. But I would see him, and I knew of his father, and of course of his mother.
Right.
Which I see a lot. And he's more like came in as a folk hero. Do you think that sometime when a person come in as a folk hero, that there's promises that they may make, honestly, that they believe that they can do, only when they get in office they can't pull them off?
Well, yes, I do believe that can happen. Am I convinced that that's what happened in this situation? Not so much. I don't know the ins and outs of what happened in this situation, but clearly the job is not getting done. And, our city, I'm not happy with the state that our city is in right now.
So you're comfortable with saying that the mayor of our city is not doing the job that he should do?
Well, the job isn't getting done. So, and let me specify what I mean when I say that. It's not that I don't think that he's a good leader or a qualified leader. It's not that at all. But the best surgeon in the world can't make a surgery happen without the proper tools.
Sure.
And so I think that there are some tools that he's deficit of, right? As it pertains to finances, right? As it pertains to even qualified, soldiers, on the team. So, so like I said again, there's just a deficit in terms of essentials that are probably needed to turn around what's currently happening. And I think that those things can happen.
Do you think they can happen under his administration?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. As long as Christie is there, I know that we're not going to get the help that we need. And a lot of our constituents here don't understand politics. They just understand that we're not happy, right? And when you can't get in and you're not accessible to the mayor to see what's going on, and the information is very selective that gets out, and then you feel disassociated when you hear people such as council people repeatedly, publicly. And I mean, I think at this point, almost each of them have said publicly, just expressed some type of disdain for the leadership that's going on down there. And then not to mention the continual firings back to back to back of people that are known and respected in the community, whether it's with the police, whether it's with the fire department, whether it's with City Hall in general. So there's a lot of upset, there's a lot of questions that people have. And I think to move forward, yes, I think we can. So let me say that. I think we can move forward. But there's going to have to really be a strong effort and, a 360-degree turnaround from what's
So do you
happening.
think that there has been people that probably shouldn't have been fired, that was of great quality for this city that were fired because of politics?
That's a good question. Individually, I can't answer that because I don't have the data too, and I didn't have an assessment tool to really give you a strong answer for that. But what I can say is that when so many people, get fired, when you're displeased with so many people, and after all, these are the people that you hired.
Sure.
And, so there's some concerns there, and what they
you
are
say
specifically.
You hired, you mean the mayor hired?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Definitely.
If there were a governor race today, would you vote for Governor Christmas?
Of course not. I didn't vote for him the other times that he was elected. He just doesn't serve the best interests of the people here in the city of Newark, and so I wouldn't support him.
The people on the city council, would you vote for them?
Well, there are a lot of people on the city council.
That's why I said that.
So there's some people that I see, making efforts, making progress that I would consider voting. There's not one person that I would just put my hand down and say, oh, this person right here, they're doing a fantastic job. No, of course not. And my major reason is as an education advocate and knowing how important education is to remedying the decreasing of crime in our community. For all of the people to support charter schools when the majority of our students are still in public schools where the resources, are lacking. For each of those people to support that and know people to really stand up and say, well, we need these resources in the public schools, that was concerning for me. So that's why I won't give anybody 100%, but so education is not the only policy, right? So then there's policing and redevelopment, right? So economic development. So there's a lot of other policies that we must consider, but right now I couldn't give 100% stamp to any of the council people.
Sure.
And, so that's where I stand with that. But there's some people that I see not doing anything that I believe that are just collecting a check. And I'm sure I'm not alone when I, in that belief.
I was raised in this city.
Really?
And I've seen the transition from Anamnesio to Ken Gibson. Ken Gibson was a hero. He was the first black man. He was a hero to us. We had our issues because we had came through what some deem a riot and others deem rebellion.
Absolutely.
The rebellion. So, I always voted for Ken Gibson. I voted for Ken Gibson over Sharp James because I didn't know Sharp James.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I voted for Ken Gibson. Then after Ken Gibson left, I started voting for Sharp James. I voted for Sharp James. Now, I don't think I was here to vote for Sharp James or Brooklyn.
Okay.
But I did vote for Sharp James over somebody. This was before Corey. Because Corey's young. Corey's young. I think he's a bit younger than Sharp. So I don't think the first term, the next term that me and Sharp ran, that Corey was even in nowhere. No, right? It was way years later.
Right.
But I voted for Sharp James because even though he had a little different brush than Gibson, but he still seemed like a hometown.
Yeah, absolutely.
Today, if you ask me, who would I vote for? Well, I'm 53 years old. I have no political ties or no. I'm a Democrat.
Okay.
Never in my life voted Republican. Although I favored some of the Republicans on certain issues
Right.
and read many of their scripts, many of their texts and stuff like that, their minutes or whatever, and liked them as an individual there. But I've always voted for the Democratic Party. If I had to vote today, right now, for a mayor, I would vote Raspberry.
Okay.
You know, I get stuck like that. Because I don't want to see it go. I don't want to see.
When you say it go, what do you mean?
Well, when Gibson left,
Oh, okay.
right,
Okay.
you felt like
A sense of
part
pride.
of the city
and-
might have
yeah.
left because I didn't know Sharp.
Yeah.
But then when Sharp came in, you start feeling that homeness again in the city. Now when Cory Booker became mayor, I don't really know him as mayor in this city because I wasn't in that city.
Well, look, I was in the city and I don't know him as mayor either.
Okay.
He was always gone,
Right,
you know,
So I didn't know, but if I had to vote tomorrow, I would vote for him.
Between him and who, though? Him and Sharp?
I guess I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm just looking
What would
at-
you vote on him based on? The policies, the image, the folk hero image?
Well, for me, it's hard for me to look at this guy and not see him as a folk hero.
Right.
I see his father.
Well,
I see his mother.
Well, listen,
now you're interviewing me.
Yeah, no.
You basically you taking the interview.
No, I'm supplementing what you
Yeah.
said. I'm just piggybacking for this. Mom and dad, awesome people. Know of and just love them both. Look up to them to the fullest. But Raz has something that he says in speeches a lot, and he'll tell you that I'm not my father and I'm not my mother. And it often leaves people curious as to, first of all, why are you saying it? Why do you feel the need to say it? And what do you really mean when you say it? Because, they're wonderful people. And a lot of people, I think, voted and supported him based on that love that they have for his parents. So his continual need to separate himself from that is concerning, to say the least. And it probably should be explained, at best. Because if you leave people up to their assumptions of it, it kind of lends to the negativity that we're experiencing with the city, and the two may not be a part of the same link in
Sure.
the chain. You understand what I'm saying? So, like I said, there are questions and concerns there, but primarily it's the issues. It's the issues. And when people can't get jobs and the water in the schools have lead, and here it is months later that the filters, you haven't even advocated for filters to be changed, right? So it kind of takes us away from the dream of the folk heroes and the myths. And this is the real world where our kids can't drink water in school. This is the real world where we're concerned if the water we're drinking in our homes are clean. And so there are these issues, and then when you drive around the city of Newark, there's so much construction going on, and you see these people in the streets, right, and they're making huge, indentations, and it's like, what's going on? And there are no answers. There's nothing in the news, and so everyone's, what's going on? And we don't know. And then we get papers saying, hey, whatever's going on with the water from your house to the walk, sidewalk, you're gonna have to pay for that now. Wait, what? Wait, huh? And so then as a homeowner, you hear how your taxes went up one year that he was in office. The second year, they went up quadruple as much. So it's like, at some point we gotta differentiate between the man and the myth. And it's not personal with him, it's the same thing with Obama. We love the image of Obama being the president, But when you look at it on the flip side, what was he really able to do? What was he able to tangibly get done, for urban communities? And I think it's the same.
Well, I kind of beg a differ on that. Now, when it comes to the president, of course I vote.
Me too.
I'm not really disappointed in the president, and I'll tell you why. Not because he's the first black president, but President Obama, he's not civil rights. You understand? He's not civil rights. It's like if Reverend Jesse Jackson would have gotten him years ago, there's a man that was civil rights. You see, it's different when it comes to the gears of a person that's civil rights and a person that's not. See, civil rights person, 9 times out of 10, always do the right thing because they have that civil rights, and that's what civil rights is neither black or white. It's the civil rights of the individual. They breathe, and we don't know how these guys are created, but they're created different than more of an academician or even a person that's in our shell, but they don't have that civil rights journey.
Right.
So for me, when I looked at some of the things that people say about the president, I often say, well, I didn't expect all that because he's not a civil rights president. Now, the man that they kind of allegedly separated him from, which would be more of like that Reverend, that Jeremiah Wright. Now, Jeremiah Wright is civil rights.
Right.
See, and it's different. It's like, all right, as a Reverend, I'm a Reverend. When I wake up, because I have the blood of the civil rights in me, before my eyes is open, I done scan from the state of Florida Keys all the way up to Seattle, Washington, then over to Yukon, all the way back down. It's got the Pacific side and the Atlantic side, and the Gulf of Mexico side of America. If there's any issue anywhere, 9 times out of 10, I know it. Because my mind just looked for these things. You know what I mean? But people that's not bred in civil, they don't think.
So, well, let me say this. So, and again, I voted for Obama every election. I would gladly vote for him again. But what I am saying is that, number one, to just respond, I think that black people inherently are civil rights. I don't think that he's not, that is, and this is just my opinion, I don't think that he's not civil rights. I think that, and I'm going to tell you why, because you can't say, like some people say, well, he's the president for everybody, right? He's not just the president for some people. But I've seen this man champion for gay rights. Mm-hmm. I've seen him champion for immigrants. Mm-hmm. I've seen him champion for so many different issues here, sure. Socially, economically. I have not seen him at all champion for the rights of black people living here in America. And you cannot just ignore the rights of black people. And I get it because, right, so the country is corporate run. The city is corporate run, right? Both are incorporated.
Sure.
And so you risk your job and, to speak out. I mean, at one time he said something about Trayvon Martin got killed. He said, if I had a son, it would look like him. They tried to rip him to smithereens in the media for just making that statement. And we all understood what he meant, But so just imagine if he had came out and said anything stronger than that in defense of black people and the social issues that.
But you see, like when Al Sharpton ran for president, Al Sharpton was civil rights. And one thing about the civil rights person, you ain't never going to take that away from them because they live, breathe, and speak it. They stand for it. And if you're on a job, right, and there's many different African American people, African descent, there's probably 1 or 2 and maybe even one that's civil rights, that breathes, sleep civil rights, and they don't care what the boss says. And after a while, the boss come on their side. So you understand me? Because that civil rights person, it isn't just one issue. He or she is always civil rights.
So I see things from a different lens. And I think that, and I hear what you're saying, I feel what you're saying, but I think there's been a paradigm shift that people have not really taken grasp to. And there is a huge, there's a lot of separatism between the lower class
Sure.
and the alleged middle class, because the middle class are so close to being the lower class that they have become growingly selfish
Sure.
in their activism, right?
Sure.
In their support of civil rights, where they have been so busy looking out for themselves that they no longer feel that emotional need, that moral need to risk anything that they have, to support and stand up for those people that don't have beneath them.
Sure.
Like right now, again, so we go back to the battle between charter schools. People feel like, well, I have my child in a charter school, we may have our little issues here, but okay. But if your child is in a school that you like and it's running smooth and everything, why are you still not championing for for every child that is not there, you have 3 others that's not. Why are you still not championing for those young people? Why are you still
that's the difference. Where a civil rights person will continue to fight even after they're fed. See, a civil rights person never give it up. We have civil rights people fight anyway, but they always, doesn't matter.
This is
I tell you what, William Kunstler,
Okay.
the old lawyer
Yeah.
from New York,
Okay.
he was civil rights. He always was fighting for an issue. No matter what, one issue or another, that's just what he did. You understand?
Yeah.
So there's different gears, but I want to get back to, as I said, I still look at our mayor in New York as a folk business. As I see his mother and father. I know what he may say, because kids always say something, but they always go 9 times out of 10 they lean back and
This is true.
and see the hope or the know-how I know about if he leaned back either way, mother or father, he's leaning back towards people that have fought for our existence from mother or father's side. You follow what I mean? It isn't that if he leaned back in his mind, Amina ain't trying to lift the people up. He leaned back in his mind. Well, this is what I see. If he leaned back in his mind, his father always gave poetry, always gave stuff, to lift the people up, give them something, and that's a heavy burden, that, so from either side, I see that in our mayor, so I probably would vote for him.
I don't see that. I won't negate what you're saying,
Sure.
because like I said, it's opinionated right on both our ends. I followed his dad with poetry and different things in New York, and I don't know him like that, because the things that I went to that his father was there, I never saw him. I knew of him, but knowing of a person and knowing them is 2 totally different things. I see the image, I hear the words, the image looks good, the words sound great, but the actions are not in sync with what is needed. And I've went to City Hall several times to try to help. I'm a very solution-oriented person.
I picked that up from that.
Yeah, and it's not been wanted. It's not been addressed. And for what reason, I have no clue. I did run for West Ward council person. I find it hard to believe that somebody would still be upset for 2 years later. So I don't think that would be it. But I just really think that, and this is just a critique. It's not personal, that he's a micromanager. He needs to really, control the people that work underneath him, right? And so I get it, but I just don't agree with the philosophy. I think that you do need people who can think independently, but still, have the confidence to carry out the agenda. And so I'm concerned when I see people that seemingly need yes people, around them. where you're not comfortable with being challenged, because only through challenging and pain, in that way, stimulates growth.
Sure.
So, so that's my concern, just as, a resident here. You're going to have to do more than just have an image. For me, I don't see you, as your father. I don't see you as your mom at all. I see you as a person. And,
and you're allowed. So at this point in challenge, you probably wouldn't.
No, I'm not saying that, because, okay, so like I said, so he only has 2 years in the term. So like I said, there's a lot of room for improvement.
Sure.
But he's going to have to make some really big changes. Whether or not he can do it, who am I to say? If somebody really wants to get something done,
sure,
and they see the error of their ways,
sure,
of course they can turn around and change. So
sure,
I would never
sure,
say that. Never, I wouldn't support him or vote for him. So now it also is contingent upon who else is going to be running.
Sure. Sure.
I know that there are other candidates that are running. I'm interested in seeing their platforms.
Have you heard anything? I mean, we still have 2 years away.
Yeah.
Have you heard of anybody that's thinking about running?
Yeah, I have.
Can you say on the camera?
Yeah. Well, I hear that. I mean, you can look on the NJ New Jersey governor. The state website and see that Shavar Jeffries is running. He was a candidate last time.
Yeah, I remember him. Yes.
Yeah. So, policy-wise, again, right? Because see, I think our community has a problem just separating the personal from. It's like, oh, I gotta like you, so if I like you, then I'll support you. But I don't look at those things, because I taught for 20 years. Every teacher I liked, I would not necessarily put my child in their class. You can have, you know what I mean? So you can have great,
most
social.
truthful person I've heard say that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you some real stuff here. And, so I look at the platform, I look at the philosophies, and, so he wants to run again. What have you done in the city to try to make some things better? I'm not running for mayor, and I could rattle off a lot of things that I've attempted and a lot of things that I've done. And maybe they have made, a minuscule impact, but still I've done some things. So, I mean, I guess he's going to ride in on the charter, school again, because those are the parents mostly involved that have active roles in their children's lives, right? So I'm not upset with that at all. But the huge contingency here of Newark students may not have those things in place for reasons that are beyond their control. I don't believe that DNA makes you better, your children better from other children, or else I wouldn't be in the situation I'm in. I don't know my mom or my dad. And so I would have been one of the students that was lost, sitting in the public schools without resources, without teachers that care, because they're getting run out, on a rail. And that wasn't my experience. I had wonderful teachers, and I loved walking to school with my friends. I'm still friends with many of those people. And I think the whole charter movement has, if nothing else, and it's a lot else, broken up our community in such a way. Even at Shabazz,
sure,
every year, the alumni would come there, and we would be able to come back and visit teachers. There's so many things that has been changed and painfully taken away from us in terms of unity and just being one together in this city, that it's very hard for me to get behind a person who does not support that. But again, I do want to say that charter schools and concerns dealing with education is not the only thing that I'm looking at. There are other policies that are important, because if what are the policing policies? Because if you don't have the right people in place for police, kids can't even get to school safely to get an education, right? So that's not the only thing. And so right now I'm just an open slate of just seeing what the work is. I'm looking at the track record, and I just want to be fair. I'm 44, right? And I'm not interested in who likes me or not. I'm a cancer survivor, right? And my interest right now is just seeing Newark be the best that it could be. And in order to do that, I have to separate any emotional feelings that I have for anybody, and just always try to make the right decisions, for the community.
Okay, well, let's kind of leave politics for a minute, and I want to do maybe 2 minutes talk about charter schools. It seemed to me that like every corner I turn, there is a charter school. Now, and then every person that throw their hands up in the air, say they want to start a school. I want to start. This person wants to start a school.
Yeah.
That person wants to start a school.
Yeah.
Well, Trump had a school at a college.
Yeah. Wow.
Now,
yeah.
one thing I've learned, and I only went through high school, graduated from Central High School in 1982,
Oh, okay.
is that the person that write a book, a regular book that we read, is not the same one that can write a formula book like a textbook. A lot of media people, they're good until you read. I've read a lot of their books. I like their deliverance better than I like their book. Some writers that can write, I don't enjoy their deliverance at all, but they're great writers. They know what word to put wherever, but they can't actually articulate it in a way that is suitable to the ears.
Right.
But they can write it.
I
They know.
understand totally.
But it seemed like every other day, every other Monday, somebody saying, I want to start a school. I want to start a school. Now, I have not actually interviewed a charter school student yet, but that's one of my next, in my bucket list to do. In these public schools, where you have your education, academics, you have your football team. You have all that come with some of them. Schools have swimming pools. You have all that come along with being in high school. I'm a child of the 60s. You know, I used to like the drill teams and the girl throw the baton up,
Right.
football players run out.
Yeah.
I enjoyed all that. And I think that all that kind of made up who you became.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what
Now,
I was, yeah, definitely.
If I gave all that up and went into a charter school, right, because it's a smaller class and maybe I don't have distractions or whatever, and I'm maybe reading a little bit more because they're pushing me. You tell me that I can't achieve that in a public school, that I have to give up all that we've built over years. We built the curriculum and the activities in school that made you think about, a guy on a football team. You think about what do you want to be. You got this thing. But for me, to go back to a charter school, is it turning the wheels back 90 years where we have one school buildings and we did not have the activities?
Well, definitely, I'm not a charter school advocate. I've also recently ran for a school board, and I had a lot of community support. I mean, a lot, and I appreciate that. But I don't support charter school because of the very aggressive way it entered our communities, and there wasn't a plan for our special needs population, right? And so that's disrespectful in and of itself. That's one thing. So also when you come into a community very aggressively and you don't ask people what they want, but you tell them this is what you want, that is exercising paternalism, which I'm definitely against, because you don't come from history when you called our men boy and then swoop into a community that is predominantly people of color and say, hey, we're going to teach you, this is what we're going to do, this is how it's done, and you're not going to have anything to say about it. And the irony of the whole thing is the one word that they're consistent with pushing charter schools is the word choice.
Sure.
There is no choice. If there was a choice and charter schools were the end all and be all, they would be in the suburban areas alike, and they're not, and those people don't want them there. So that's important to consider. Also, when you look at the outcomes, what are the people that we have working in these schools? Some of the people are not certified. It's not mandatory in every school.
Okay.
We had a situation over on Norfolk with the school that's situated at a charter school that 5 black teachers were not asked to come back. The students had a very, verbal, strong movement protesting that, which was squelched by local media. And these concerns that concern schools in our community, they concern the people in our community. So why, prohibit us from getting the information as it pertains to such issues? So, if it's not community orientated, it's not for Newark. And if it's not for Newark, I'm not for it. But there's a lot of money that's associated, right? So the schools have $1 billion budget, and they're here to take the money, and that's what they've taken. And in talks of us attaining local control again, what are we really going to be in control of if they have taken all the schools, if they have taken all the funds? What are we going to have for those special needs students that need that help and those additional resources? What are we going to have? Where's our gifted and talented programs?
Sure.
They diluted the population that we had at science. They did the same thing at university, high school. Historically, those schools were where many of our gifted and talented students went. And
but they're not considered charter.
Well, no, but I'm saying that they diluted the population, whereas they were no longer specifically, catered to, the gifted and talented. They diluted it so that, the scores could potentially go down. Therefore, they would have substantial evidence in terms of data for bringing in more charter schools. So, so we see these things and we know that they're not right. We know that, it's an inequality already with our educational system. We know that Brown versus Board of Education is being directly disrespected by our governor, right? And that is one of the things that I look at when I'm listening to even the gubernatorial candidates talk about their policies and platforms for education. So whatever you're doing, if you're not including the parents in, if they're not at the table, then that's not something that I'm going to advocate for,
Well, it was nice talking to you today.
Likewise.
And I hope to interview you again. Get your thoughts.
Well, I appreciate you asking.
Is there any way that anyone can reach out to you?
Okay, yeah, definitely. So, again, my name is Sheila Montague, and I'm on Facebook. I do Facebook Live every Monday night where I talk about a lot of issues pertaining to community building. And I think you guys will like that. If you haven't already tuned in, please do. So you can find me on Facebook, Twitter. I don't have a Snapchat yet. I'm working on that. But I have a website, SheilaMontague.com, that you can also go to for information. And, a lot of articles that I've published are there on these very topics that we're talking about actually right now. And I'm in the process of doing another article on education and, crime in our community. So, thank you.
Well, again, this is Zachariah Jackson, BASA Goodbye.